I think you deserve to get banned off Twitter, James.
I honestly thought it was a mistake. It was so preposterous. Stupid.
What did you tell Colton again?
Colton set up his Christmas tree in November.
Yes.
In November. And I said...
I think it was November 1st.
I said, stop it. I'll kill you. And I get that getting caught by a robot or an automated system is going to happen. I said the words, I'll kill you. Like, it's inciting violence.
Pretty intense.
It's a threat.
Yeah.
But, like, it's very clear, you know, once I say to a human, hey, there's been a mistake. This is my friend. I'm joking,
right,
obviously.
Which you did multiple times.
Yes, and apparently a human looked at it and they were still like, no. And then I got banned for an undetermined amount of time. First, it was I thought it was going to be a 24-hour ban. Then I thought maybe through the weekend. Then maybe 1 week.
Yeah, how long was it?
It was like 7 months in the end.
Jeez Louise. That's messed up.
Yeah, and they don't tell you how long it's going to be. So the effect of it is basically like, just erase Twitter from your life. Forget, like, the result of it in the long, because I've been reinstated. Out of the blue randomly, I just like turned on Twitter one day and I was like, oh, I'm back.
Yeah.
And the effect is that I just barely use Twitter. Because my life adjusted to not having Twitter. I made new habits. I'm on Reddit now. I love Reddit. So much better.
They're like there's like a gaslighting element where you have to convince yourself that Twitter never really existed.
Well, I just couldn't.
Maybe I just made that up in my head.
Well, habits formed, you know? So I learned to live without it.
So where did you go to get your stupid thoughts out?
I don't. I just lurk. I just lurk now. I don't
You
say
would
anything.
lurk on Twitter. You would come back.
I was mostly a lurker.
I
open Twitter once in a while. I just look at my mentions.
Right.
My jokes are stupid anyway.
Interesting. Well, that obviously, I'm glad that I have you on TalkLinked today to talk about Twitter.
Boy. Well, I don't know if I would get banned in Elon's Twitter or not. I guess we can talk about that.
That's kind of the question. I mean, how do we... I guess I'll say that, you know, the way that Elon's been handling Twitter has been very interesting to me.
Inept is a word I would use.
Well, I don't see. That's the thing. Is like everyone has super strong opinions about him and who he is and what his goals are, and I just really don't know. Like, I know that I think he's a narcissist and that he's basically just kind of trying to, you know, get his at the end of the day, but I don't know whether he also maybe has an ideological kind of goal for Twitter. Like, does he actually want it to be the like free speech platform? Because the more that things have gone on, the more that like moderation he's kind of like added back in.
I think there's a difference between what he would love it to be in his ideal if this was just for Elon's world, and what everyone else wants.
Right.
I think he would have it more pure free speech, anything goes platform if he could have his way. But I think he's been shown that A, audiences want moderation, B, platforms with moderation make more money. And that's basically it. Those things.
I mean, if you can say anything about his handling of the situation, you can say...
We're doing A's and B's list today, folks.
Okay. One, you can say that it's definitely chaotic. And it's like, it kind of gives off the impression that he doesn't really know what he's doing and he's just kind of like playing it by ear. But two... on the other hand, okay, this isn't a 1-2 situation. This is a either or. On the one hand, it's chaotic.
It's Boolean. It's 1 or 0.
Sure.
So you did 1.
Binary?
Yeah.
Quantum?
Now say 0.
0? Elon doing all this chaotic stuff and like staying in the news cycle. This whole year. I mean, like, when did all this start? I think in April he like put in the offer or something.
Yeah, but he hasn't looked good. Like the whole thing was when he was trying to back out. Actually, we need to step back from this because he has fans. Okay,
Right.
He has diehard fans to whom he looks good at all times because they kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. And you saw this with Trump as well. People going, well, he's playing 7D chess. We just can't comprehend his moves with our small brains.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is necessary as well. You almost have to do like a disclaimer, like a transparency statement of your thoughts on Elon. I will say, I used to be a real Elon fan. I read his biography, huge fan of SpaceX, Neuralink, Boring Company. I was privy to all of his, everything he was doing. He's saving the world. Let's go to Mars. Big believer.
Go.
Self-driving cars, big believer. And I still do think that he's a net positive force in the world. I'm glad he
You do.
exists.
Man, we had a big debate about that upstairs.
Well, just for the climate change aspect of it and accelerating the adoption of electric cars. So, but that said, ever since like the pedal boy stuff, and probably more now than ever, he's really fallen from grace, and he's no longer like my personal hero. So just for the fanboys out there,
you're a reformed Elon boy.
So I just want people to know that when I hate on Elon, I'm not like a pure hater. Like you know, I've been along for the ride.
You have some cred to be able to say.
I think so.
Hey guys, maybe Elon isn't Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I think I don't agree with detractors who say that he's just a rich guy who just like amplifies other people's inventions. I think he is very smart. I think he's taking big bets. He's an audacious character. I think he deserves a lot of the praise he gets, but I also think he's a douchebag.
For sure. I mean, I've seen some comparisons recently to Steve Jobs, in the sense that Steve Jobs was kind of known as an asshole, but he was able to get things done. The question is whether Steve Jobs, like, because it seems like Steve Jobs wasn't an internet edgelord troll, so that's like a whole nother. That's a whole nother layer on top of it.
He's just icky, and it sucks.
Yeah,
it sucks that he couldn't just be less icky. Anyways, back on topic.
Right. So April is. I was right. April is when he initially. Oh no, that's when he bought 9.2% of Twitter.
Yeah, without like telling anyone he did. So
I mean,
that's a douchebag move. Like that would have jacked up the stock price, but he wanted to buy it at a lower price, so he screwed over other shareholders or would-be shareholders.
Yeah,
that's a douchebag move. And that's Lex Luthor move, not a Superman.
That's a whole nother. That's a whole nother angle to this. Never mind the whole like, oh, is he going to transform Twitter into a different thing or not? Like there's a behind-the-scenes type of story where he might just be doing all this to manipulate stock options so he can make money that way.
He does do a lot of behind-the-scenes things. So, for example, when he looks really bad when he's coming in, firing people, and the biggest blemish on the whole thing is the blue checkmark thing, where people are impersonating George Bush and saying like 9/11 was pretty cool. You know, like people are just making a mockery of the whole verification system. At this point, it's unclear whether there's a point to the blue checkmark at all. What does blue checkmark signify? It just means you're a paying customer.
That's the whole thing.
Who cares?
Yeah.
So that looks like a debacle. That looks like an absolute dumpster fire. However, my personal feeling is that he rolled that out in such a quick, bad way because it just meant getting money. He just got a bunch of $8. He
just got a bunch of $8 subscriptions.
Right away.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas if he spent the time to like actually develop and roll out a proper functioning feature with KYC or whatever, it would have taken time. And he wants to move in. He wants to shake it up right away. He wants to change the culture very aggressively with hardcore people who work long hours.
Yeah.
Changing culture is very hard. So, you know, he's getting a lot of flack for how he's approaching that, but it was never going to be clean.
Okay, that's enough of that. I want to talk about the Twitter blue checkmark because that was hilarious. Because so like as a verified person, I somehow got verified on Twitter before
Not
all
me.
of this. Yeah, I know. There was like they opened up verification a while back, and a bunch of people applied.
Like me.
Yeah, and I did, and I got verified. So like as a verified person, it's been interesting for me to watch this because here comes Elon being basically like, so that thing that you have, I'm basically gonna make it worthless. Because if everyone can buy a check mark, then what do the non-bot check marks mean? They don't really mean anything. So here's what happened, okay? So he came in, he's like, Twitter Blue, we're launching it with the check mark. That happened. A bunch of people impersonated
Twitter
accounts.
Blue existed before Elon, though.
Twitter Blue did exist, but he didn't get a check mark.
And it wasn't expensive enough. It was like $2 a month or something. Nobody wanted that crap.
Right.
You see, you want to give... The other part of this checkmark thing is the status. Things need to be sufficiently expensive so that you think you're getting enough status from them.
Yes.
And the checkmark needs to be sufficiently rare that it's a status symbol as well.
Right.
So what does the checkmark mean? Does it mean I'm a verified person? Like when you're talking to Dunkin' Donuts, it's the real Dunkin' Donuts and not like a parody? It's the real Riley?
Yeah.
Or does it mean...
Maybe you want to talk to the parody.
So there's that aspect, like you're trying to talk to the real person, and then there's the other aspect of like, whoa, you're famous enough to have a check mark.
Whoa.
You're the real Riley.
Exactly. And I mean, if I'm being honest, there's like a little bit of sadness that comes with a check mark because you're like, man, I kind of feel like I sold out. Like I could have more,
Clout?
not boots on the ground, not clout, like cred street cred,
That's clout now.
Twitter timeline cred.
Yeah, it's called clout.
Yeah, but I would call it cred.
Okay.
If I didn't have the check mark. But anyways, so he launched the check mark as part of Twitter Blue. A bunch of impersonation happened. Not everybody who did it impersonated people, obviously, but enough chaos happened that they took it away again. They just stopped signups.
Okay.
Oh no, wait! Before they stopped signups, they added the official check mark. So they added a second check mark.
This one was gray.
This was a gray official check mark that goes under the brands, under the names of certain brands.
So this is the development of like a caste system now, right? Where it's like, okay, you can pay for the blue check mark, which no one else will care if you have one because you just bought it for $8, or you can have the new real check mark, which is the gray one, which you have to be a public figure or a known brand for, or whatever.
Right, check mark, the gray official check mark under the blue check mark, which is white right now because of dark mode. But anyways,
it really begs the question: why does Twitter Blue come with a blue check mark? Is it because they think, oh, I get a check mark if I buy it? Sweet. I don't really care about these other parts of the Twitter Blue suite. What I care about is having a check mark, so I will pay for that. But that, like, once everyone's paying for that, the check mark is meaningless.
Exactly.
Like, why did they even include it?
So that's why they felt the need to add the second gray official check mark. And at first, everyone with a original
legacy
check mark got the second gray official check mark. And then they were like, wait, we can't do that, because then all the people who are paying for Twitter Blue will just want that. So then they took it all away. They canceled signups, or they suspended Twitter Blue signups, and they took away the official check mark, and they said, we won't be doing the official check mark. And then a few days later, they brought it back. So now some brands have 2 check marks, okay? Some like brands like PC Gamer and like companies have the original legacy checkmark and the official checkmark. I don't.
You don't have
even
what?
Though
what do you have?
I have the legacy checkmark still.
Okay.
But I don't have the official. So like, it's funny because in an attempt to sort of
weird. So there's like 3 check marks. That's weird.
Yeah. So like, to go back to the point of a check mark.
And you're the loser in this situation because people just assume you pay $8.
Exactly.
They don't even know you're famous.
Exactly.
Oh
I hope that people aren't seeing me reply.
He's
on
super
things.
famous, you guys. He's really famous.
No, but I'm worried that people are going to see me and think that I paid for Twitter Blue. Not that that's a big deal.
The most frustrating thing is that when you do pay, like, what is the meaning of the Twitter Blue checkmark? You paid your $8. Does it mean they scanned my ID card? I'm a real human.
Right.
I think it will in the future.
That was the purpose.
But now it doesnst because, well, as we saw with the George Bush accounts and everything.
Exactly.
You can do whatever you want.
And so initially when he said,
what
okay,
a disaster.
People are going to pay $8 for Twitter Blue and it'll help defeat bots. Initially, I was kind of like, I can see that because the whole power of bots is in like swarming, right? So if you want like 1 million accounts to go and like inflate follower counts or like numbers,
which Elon benefits from, he always has.
Right.
He's always had a big bot army.
Sure, and so there's some what do you call that?
Conflict of interest.
Hypocriticalness there. Hypocrisy.
There it is.
Ha. But I was always like, okay, they're not going to pay $8 per month for each one of these little bots that they need as part of the swarm.
No,
right?
you can't do that.
But what you can do with $8
a month
is impersonate people.
Actually, a nation state might do that.
Sure. And as people pointed out, if there's enough power, like you're not paying $8 per bot like all the time. You're paying $8 a month per bot, so you might absorb the cost of like paying $8 a month for like hundreds of accounts in order to have those accounts follow multiple people and like multiple posts. Like it's not like they're single use. Like you have this bot army and now you can do anything with it.
But you need to be like an agency to get enough clients to pay for your bot army.
Sure. Yeah. I just mean that the idea that only humans would pay $8 a month for their personal account or whatever is not really...
No, you need
anybody could do that.
You need other forms of KYC.
Yeah, so that's not enough for verification.
By the way, KYC means know your customer. It's what they use in banking and even in the crypto world. There's tons of apps where you can, scan your biometrics and your ID and stuff like that. How well it works, I don't know, but I'm sure Elon could figure it out. Or am I? I don't know.
Oh my gosh. So like to me, this whole checkmark drama was actually really important. a lot of people used it to like make fun of Elon and Twitter and stuff. And Tumblr launched the ability to like pay $8 per, like, to add multiple check marks. So you can pay $8 for one, then another $8 for another one, and then you could go up to 24 check marks on your account. Yeah. So like it was funny, but at the same time, it's actually really important because check marks came about because of the risk of impersonation. Facebook, Instagram, I think TikTok, I'm not sure, has check marks to like, the point is to say this is the real account. And on Twitter, Elon is coming in here and I see what he's trying to do. He's trying to like verify real humans, but
Not trying very hard.
he's not trying very hard. And what he actually might do is erase the power of the check mark, like erase its ability to actually denote someone important or to someone who may be impersonated.
Well, I'm hoping that like there's just more verification in the future. What they have done is banned impersonation. So that people have read this as, okay, rules for thee but not for me, like free speech unless you're making fun of Elon Musk like Kathy Griffin, and now she's banned. But the thing with the it doesn't solve the bot problem because these bots are not impersonating real people. They're not impersonating real identities. They're generated identities. They're fake names. They're made up. So the impersonation ban does nothing to solve the bot problem.
Yeah. I guess I wish that Elon came in and just went straight for the like moderation stuff, because that is another like that to me is like the most interesting aspect of what he wants to do with Twitter. He wants to take it from being this like very heavily moderated, you say something that might offend people, then you get banned. You say something that is obviously a joke, but could be like interpreted by a robot as like a death threat or something, and you get
Well, it's
banned.
unclear if Elon's Twitter changes that.
Right.
Like, because he has some rules, and I think inciting violence or actual harassment is still against the rules, so I might still get banned for that. And maybe the people who work for Elon, if a human looks at my case and they're one of Elon's humans, they would reinstate me. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if anything, Twitter just has less resources to be able to like put
That's right.
actual humans towards those kind of things because he gutted the
Well,
workforce.
that's the thing. Maybe his intention was to be like, you know what? Twitter should be a utility. It should be like a public service. And so let's just make it accessible to all. It's the town square, But then he was like, damn it, I don't have enough money to afford this town square, so now I need to do things to monetize this town square.
Yeah.
And that's where now he has to not really make the thing that he wants to make.
And I think that's if there's a biggest criticism of Elon and his handling of Twitter after he actually acquired Twitter, I would say that it's like going after the monetization first instead of like making the changes that you want to make in terms of moderation, and then being like, all right, because he's basically like, this is what every startup has to do. They have to make a business model, prove that they have something that kind of works smoothly, and then, up till that point, investors have signed on, and then they have to prove to those investors after a while that they can monetize it, and then they bring in the money. But what he tried to do with Twitter is like, okay, you guys have been on that cycle for a long time, and Twitter has never really been profitable consistently. And so he's like, we need the monetization now. But that led us into this stupid situation where we're launching things and
so poorly,
unlaunching them, and
the advertisers are leaving, and advertisers like moderation because they don't want their ad to be beside a tweet with the N-word in it or something.
Exactly. He came in trying to like do the monetization right away, and instead he actually lost a ton of advertising.
He's also just a poor steward of the platform for two reasons. Like when you look at Bezos with the Washington Post, that has been a success because he's been hands off the Washington Post, and he's just let them continue to do their thing, and he just kind of saved it monetarily. And Elon could have done that, but he's a power user. He's the biggest, him and Trump, I guess, 80 million subs or followers. He's the biggest user of Twitter, so he's already kind of like too in the water with Twitter to really be a good steward. The second aspect of it, which is even worse, is his reliance on China for his personal income.
Oh.
Tesla relies heavily on China.
Here we go.
They have gigafactories in China.
Right.
China doesn't not give a shit that Tesla is a separate company than Twitter. That's not how China rolls. China leverages all leverages that are possible. And so if China goes, hey, we don't like the messages you're amplifying on Twitter. We don't like all the Taiwan trending hashtags on Twitter. So Tesla's gonna get hurt unless you change your town square to be China friendly, Tesla's going to get hurt.
Interesting.
He is so beholden to the the CCP that Twitter just cannot be a Western town square free speech mecca.
Really?
This is no way.
How confident are you in the fact that if China is upset with something that Elon's doing, he's going to have that trickle down into the way that he runs Twitter?
Well, it's the source of all his wealth. Do you think he wants to be poor? He seems to enjoy being rich.
Would he change? Ask the former part of you that was an Elon fanboy. Would he compromise Twitter? And like, because his whole thing is like free speech and blah blah blah. And so, is he going to completely throw that aside? Or would he just jettison Twitter? Would he just try to like get rid of it?
Well, he might. Let's say that he is just like he's a human computer. He might prioritize his like hierarchy of need or of like values, right? He might go, okay, one of my values is free speech in this town square Twitter platform. One of my values is reducing climate change and accelerating the adoption of electric cars. Which one do I care more about? If I care more about reducing climate change, because that's an existential risk to humanity, things that Elon cares a lot about, then he might prioritize saving Tesla above saving Twitter. Although there are other companies now that make electric cars.
I feel like he would, if he had to save one, he would obviously save Tesla, not Twitter. Because here's the reality of the situation now is that
that's where he gets his money. Like,
for sure.
The view I just outlined is the charitable view, but like really, the more narcissistic and like self-preservation view is that he just like saves the thing that makes him the most money.
Yeah.
And he'll probably justify that mentally by going, well, if I'm rich, I can do great things with my money.
Right.
The world is better off if I'm rich because I do great things with my money. I can spend my money better than a government can.
Even beside the whole point of like, okay, financial survivorship, financial viability for Elon Musk, the fact of the matter is that a lot of people are looking to other social media platforms right now because of all the instability that's happening at Twitter. So, I mean, I know that I have not made accounts on anything else yet because I'm like, Twitter is probably going to survive in some way. I mean, how do you feel about that? Do you think that like there's a world in which Twitter just like stops?
It's possible, but network effects are very strong. And even if Twitter kind of sucks, it probably has excess momentum.
Right.
Whereby it remains in place. Unless, like, yes, there is a cornucopia of other things to hop on, but that's actually a weakness. We need one other thing that's clearly awesome and emerging that we all hop onto, so it gets network effects, it gets inertia, and can usurp the social landscape.
Yeah, and I've seen a couple alternatives kind of like come up in the conversation, and like there was a time when Mastodon was kind of the front runner, and then people were talking about co-host. This week so far, there's been a lot of talk about Hive Social, which is kind of like a mix between Instagram and Twitter. But as far as I can tell, it doesn't have a web interface right now. It's just an app.
Yeah, it's probably just an iOS app too.
So it's like
that's how it goes.
Each one of these things has like a specific problem. Like Mastodon, you have to. It's sort of like it's like Reddit, but instead of having like it would be like if each subreddit was run entirely on and the server was run by the mods, as if it's like it's not just part of the Reddit site that you can kind of control. It's like you can like suspend people's whole Mastodon accounts within the server, and then they can't go and join another server unless the mod that suspended them from the previous server unsuspends them. So it's like there's a lot of control there, and I've heard people complaining about Mastodon because it's like it has kind of a higher technical barrier of entry. You kind of have to like set things up, and it's not just like log in and boom, you're there. And co-host, I think I don't know enough about these other ones, but okay. So you don't view any of the alternatives as viable, really?
Not yet, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
I think people will probably stick with Twitter.
I agree. One of the questions, maybe the last question, what do we want from social media? Like, what do you go to social media for, and what do you think people should be going there for? Information,
humor. I mean, you want the public health of it is really that is the crisis. Nobody wants to see platforms amplifying fake news. We don't want to see platforms being manipulated by other nation states influencing elections. or public sentiment. You know, the TikTok problem, the Facebook problem in 2016. We don't want to log on and see like gore from a car accident or ISIS beheadings. Yeah. Like you want that kind of moderation.
Right.
Mostly you just want to look at cat photos, you know? And
on social media?
And that's Instagram.
Well, I don't use Instagram.
You want to see like statements from politicians and noteworthy people, hilarious jokes.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people do want, like, they go on Instagram just to see like photos and videos and stuff. I feel like for me, Twitter, the reason why I love it is not only just the fact that it's just text, but that it's like so low effort. Like on Instagram and TikTok, and I mean, I'm not even going to talk about Facebook, but it seems to be that you have to like really think about a post and like spend time and like edit the photo and edit the video and blah, blah, blah. And on Twitter, it's just like, it's just immediate. There's a limit. There's a character limit, so you have to kind of like edit yourself a little bit, but it's like, that's a good constraint. You want constraints that are conducive towards making the content better and less effort putting towards it on social media.
Yeah, the problem with Twitter, though, is nobody's listening to you. You know?
What do you mean?
For most people, they have like 0 to 10 followers, and you're just tweeting into the void. And people don't even want... I have really talented friends, so I'm like, man, this is hilarious. You should put this on Twitter. You should have a Twitter. And they're like, why? So no one can see my stuff? Right. It's like, how do you get off the ground on Twitter? It's like...
That's a really...
unappealing.
That's a really important point to bring up because we are like, you know, web personalities, and we tweet, and people engage with us because they're like, you're the TalkLinked guy, you're the LTT guy, but most people don't have that.
Imagine you were just a guy.
Oh my gosh. I mean, no, like,
well, that's what's happening with the check marks.
Before I got into YouTube, I did use Instagram because that's where my friends were. And so like, you know, I didn't post very often, but like I still felt the need to post there and post on Facebook and stuff because yes. So like, I will say that, all right, I'll take it back a second because the reason I love Twitter is like most of the reasons that I love Twitter for are because I'm who I am right now. But if I was using it more in like a interact with my immediate friends and family and social circles, then I would want something more like
Facebook.
The early days of Facebook. Yeah, the early days where, you know, you're not looking for likes per se. You go on a trip and you take a bunch of photos, and then you come home and the first thing you do is upload the full album to Facebook and just post like 40 photos. And then people go through and they're like, oh, this one's cool. Whoa, you did that? Awesome. That was great. And I feel like that's the dream that some of these alternative platforms are trying to get to. Like, we're talking mostly right now about the Twitter replacements, which are just like what we were talking about, where it's just like, you know, breaking news and like stupid little thoughts that you have on the toilet and stuff. But if there was like a way to... I mean, maybe Hive Social is this, where it's like back to a simpler time of social media where you're just like, I just want to post something and have my friends see it and like talk about it. Okay, last thing that I just wanted to mention, we talked a bit about like, will Twitter survive and the alternatives and stuff, but I also want to bring up the fact that it might not be up to anything that Elon does or anyone else at Twitter does. It might not be up to them whether Twitter survives or not. It might be up to Apple and Google.
Oh.
Yes, because Phil Schiller, I mean, I don't know if this is like a big red flag or whatever, a big like thing to indicate something, but Phil Schiller left Twitter, and that got people talking about Apple and whether Apple was like, maybe we don't like the way that Elon Musk is taking Twitter in terms of moderation.
Schiller left Twitter because he gets a keynote stage to say whatever he wants on every 6 months. He can still voice his opinion to the world on his own private stage. I don't think that this is a signal that Apple's going to ban Twitter from the App Store. I think, especially now more than ever, the more monetized Twitter gets, the more money Apple makes. All those transactions that are happening on the app are going to, you know, a big chunk of them is going to go to Apple unless lawsuits change things. So that's a lot of users. That's not the same as Parler or Getter or an app that has like 10 wackos on it. It's it's a lot of money.
That's what I wanted to bring up was the fact that Parler came out and was like, okay, we're free speech. I mean, it sounded a lot like what Elon is talking about with Twitter, and they got banned because, you know, they kind of said anything goes.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's like...
And it broke the Apple and Google terms of service for what's allowed in an app.
There's cool speech, free speech, and there's icky free speech.
Right.
And Apple likes cool free speech. You know, the 1984 commercial?
Yes.
They're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, little L liberalism, kind of like... But then there's like icky like Proud Boys free speech where you're just like, ew, get the no. And then so
There's a whole nother conversation to have there about whether Apple and Google should be the ones who are, dictating what social media platforms are allowed to be out there in the world. But the fact of the matter remains that how Elon continues to run Twitter right now may have ramifications for what happens to the app.
Is it cool or icky?
Yeah, is it cool or icky free speech?
Time will tell.
And was this a cool or icky TalkLinked? Do you let us know in the comments below? Subscribe to TalkLinked. That's James. You've seen him around.
See you later.
See you later.